Hello everyone, and welcome. This is a story for fans of Captain America, or, as we all know him, Steve Rogers. If you are under 18, first, hello. Second, I just want to be upfront. This book was written with young adults in mind, specifically those around 20 to 25. If that's not okay for you, no worries at all. Feel free to click off. But if you're cool with that, then I truly hope you enjoy it. You're more than welcome here. Now, let's meet our incredible cast of characters. Chris Evans as the legendary Steve Rogers. Danielle Panabaker as the brilliant and brave Laila Jenkins. Chris Hemsworth as the thunder-wielding Thor. Tom Hiddleston as the ever-complicated Loki. Robert Downey Jr. as the genius and iconic Tony Stark. Sebastian Stan as the loyal and layered Bucky Barnes. Scarlett Johansson as the fierce and fearless Natasha Romanoff. Elizabeth Olsen as the powerful and mysterious Wanda. There might be more characters I forgot to mention. So, if you catch any, feel free to let me know. One final note before we begin. I do not own any of the Marvel characters. All rights go to the late, great Stan Lee. May he rest in peace. The only character I own is Laila Jenkins. While the world belongs to Marvel, the stories I've built within it are mine to share. With you. So, if you're ready for love, loss, friendship, and a bit of heroism, let's dive in. Chapter 1. Laila's birth and Loki's betrayal. Dad! Mum's starting to give birth! A powerful voice yells out. That powerful voice belongs to a man called Thor Odinson, who is looking for Odin. Meanwhile, in his adoptive brother's room, Loki is walking back and forth, worried about how the family dynamic will change. On the other hand, Odin and Thor goes to Frigga as she's in the middle of giving birth. Frigga reaches out and starts to squeeze Odin's hand. Meanwhile, Thor is pacing back and forth outside of the room. After a while, Loki comes out of his room and goes to Thor to ask how their mother is. She's getting there, but there's still a long time, Thor says as he stops in his tracks and looks over to Loki. Both of them starts to talk to pass the time. It's okay, love. Keep pushing. She's almost here, Odin says as he reassures Frigga. After a while, Frigga pushes out Laila, and after a helper cleans her up, Frigga holds Laila before Odin takes her. Have a rest, I'll show her to our sons, Odin says as Frigga nods. Then Odin walks out of the room holding baby Laila. Come meet your sister, boys, Odin says as Thor and Loki comes closer to meet baby Laila. She's adorable, Thor says as he smiles, but Loki doesn't say anything as Loki starts to distrust her. Loki sees Laila as a threat of his position in the family. Later on at night, Loki decided to go to the nursery and take out Laila from her bassinet and takes her to Earth in 1918, even if Heimdall tries to stop him. On Earth, Loki notices a family struggling to have a child. Loki puts Laila in a basket and puts her in front of the doorway and knocks on before disappearing as Laila cries. Frigga wakes up in a panic as she can't hear Laila. She gets up and she goes to the nursery and sees Laila missing from her bassinet. No, she can't be gone, Frigga says as she walks over to the bassinet, then falls onto the floor crying as the realization hits her. Odin wakes up not feeling Frigga in bed, and he gets up and goes to Frigga and notices the bassinet is empty. Odin goes to Frigga to hold her but is raging mad that someone took his daughter. Chapter 2. Steve and Laila's introduction. The first Avenger, 21 years later. Laila decided to become a nurse, so she starts to learn how to become a nurse during the war as it's happening. One of the nurses decides to help Laila out by teaching her. Laila walks to one of the veterans that'd been injured during the battle, and she helps the veteran. Hey, Cookie, what's a dame like you doing here? The veteran says as he looks at Laila. Trying to flirt me, mister, Laila says as she looks at the veteran. "This will hurt," Laila says as she counts to 3, and she puts rubbing alcohol on the veteran's arm to clean the wound and wraps it up with a bandage. "There you go," Laila says as she puts everything back, and she looks at the veteran as she smiles. Then she sees the veteran leave. Laila was putting stuff away until she hears a male voice, and then she turns around and sees 2 men, one with brownish black hair and another with blonde hair. "Which one of you are in pain?" Laila says as she sets out the bed again. "This one right here, ma'am," the male with the brownish black hair says. Laila helps out the male with blonde hair and she grabs rubbing alcohol. "This will hurt, but I will count to 3, okay?" Laila says, and she sees the man nod before she counts to 3 and put rubbing alcohol on his wound, which made the man yelp in pain. "Sorry, but you're all done," Laila says as she wraps a bandage around the man. "He's shy around girls, but Steve says thanks for helping him." The man with the brownish black hair, and he smiles at Laila. "It's not a problem," Laila says as she smiles. Laila talks to Steve as Steve hesitantly replies back. After a while, Laila hears footsteps behind her and she looks over to Peggy. "Hello, Miss Carter," Laila greets as Peggy walks closer. "Is he done here, Miss Jenkins?" Peggy asks as she looks at Laila, and Laila nods. "Yes, ma'am," Laila says. Then she sees both Steve and Peggy leaving. After a while, Laila was checking the reports and she mutters to herself, "How in the hell did he get in?" Laila says as she puts down the folder, and she thinks to herself. After a while, Laila notices 2 soldiers walking over to her and she looks confused. "Can I help you?" Laila asks as she looks at the 2 soldiers. "We're looking for this man," one of the soldiers say as he holds up an image of Steve. "I'm sorry, but Miss Carter already took him away," Laila says, and she notices both of the soldiers look at each other with a smirk on her face, and she gets a bad feeling. "That's fine. We'll take someone else instead," another soldier says before trying to grab her, but Laila managed to fight them off before running off. "Get her!" one of the soldiers yell as Laila runs. "Shit," Laila mutters to herself as she kept on running, but one of the soldiers caught her and dragged her somewhere after knocking her out. "We got a new subject," the soldier who caught her tells Arnim as he drags the unconscious Laila to the machine. "Well done. Now, let's start on our first weapon," Arnim says. After a while, Laila starts to wake up and she looks around as she notices that she isn't at the nurse station. "Finally awake, are we?" a stranger calls out in the darkness. "Where the hell am I?" Laila asks as she tries to get out of the machine. "Sorry, but we can't tell you that," the stranger says. "Why? Scared?" Laila says. "Shut up," the stranger said, before starting the machine that electrifies Laila. But Laila doesn't scream in pain, or any noise that suggests pain. Well, look who we have here. Someone who is immune to pain, Arnim says. "What the hell are you talking about?" Laila says as she looks at Arnim. "You have a power that seems impossible for a normal human to possess," Arnim says with a smirk, knowing he can use Laila as an advantage. "I'd rather be caught dead than be one of your puppet," Laila says as she spits at Arnim after he came closer. "Is that what you wish?" Arnim asks. "I wouldn't have said it if I didn't," Laila says. The stranger starts the machine again as Arnim decides to test if she was immune to pain or if she's playing a prank on them. "What in the hell are you trying to do?" Laila asks as she laughs at the failed attempt. After a while, Arnim starts to get bad at Laila's words. But just as he was about to say something, a soldier bursts into the room. "Sir, Steve is on his way here," one of the soldiers says. Arnim looks at the soldier, then back at Laila. "Get this woman to another base right now," Arnim says to the soldiers, and walks off. As the soldiers release Laila, she uses that to her advantage, and Body slams one of the soldiers against the wall and punches the soldier hard enough to knock him down to the floor. Laila made sure the soldiers stay down by kicking them hard in their crotch area before running out of the building. Laila runs to the helipad and takes the helicopter and tries to fly out, but as soon as she did that, Steve notices it and thought it was one of the Hydra soldiers trying to escape and shoots the helicopter. "Shit," Laila says as she loses control and tries to unbuckle the seatbelt, but notices that it's jammed. "No, no," Laila says as she tries again but fails. "Shit," Laila mutters to herself as the helicopter heads towards the ice,